Thank you. So I was born in Rome, an amazing city in which I spent most of my free time when I was young, roaming around the streets of my city. Everywhere there was art, in every corner, a crossover of styles, a crossover of ages, a crossover coming together, informing my identity and forming my identity and the citizen's identity. I was very attracted by the power of the artists, these dear visionaries, these dear like daydreamers, which basically can really open up forms and shape forms to actually give a shape to the viewer and to the public spaces. When I studied art, I end up like in Maxi Museum, working there for 3 years. Now, this amazing architecture by Zaha Hadid is like a block of cement. Perhaps like was too concrete for me. I felt that there was no openness. There was no actually sort of dialogue and interaction with the urban fabric, with the people, with the masses. Rome has been so unforgettable, and for many people all over the world, because of its openness. Masses were included in every sort of architecture and art that was created in my city. So where was this openness? Where was this Colosseum or the forums? For me, was nowhere. I felt kind of lost in my own city. So what I thought is that giving back something to my city itself, and how? Creating new symbols, creating new symbols that can actually dialogue with the people, and how? Through art. When I arrived in India, actually, it was even more striking for me because the streets are the most alive in the world. Everything happens in the street. The boundary between like public and private is very thin. Actually, there is none a lot of time. At the same time, streets are really expressive of like the creativity of India. Everything like vendors, barbers, like sign painting, food is displayed in such an amazing manner. So everything was already there, but actually art, contemporary art, was not there at all. And streets are also exactly the place in which a lot of striking contrasts between the sectors of societies are happening and taking place. So streets are also like actually the place in which operating through art to actually create collective memories, to create symbols, to create dialogues. Uh, First thing we wanted to, and sorry, but like also India gave me like my four amazing partners, crazy people, visionaries that wanted to just like cross boundaries and create like space for dialogues. The first boundary that we crossed was the Delhi police headquarters. I mean, it's difficult to enter in Delhi police headquarters unless you are like in a very bad situation. What we wanted to do, it was creating like a contrast. So Gandhi, the symbol of peace, on the facade of Delhi police headquarters. Along with that, this building is like 157 feet and stands right in ITO, a very key location for the city of Delhi. So dull, so impersonal. How you can connect with those urban fabric and urban spaces which are absolutely not welcoming once again. So let's open the walls, let's break those walls. An image like this one actually can connect with everyone and anyone. The auto rickshaw knows, perhaps even better, the Bara Bara painting of like Gandhi ji instead of Delhi police headquarters itself. That's the power of images, creating public spaces, activating collective memories, and activating dialogues. No one ever questioned why a Vodafone board is everywhere around us, but people definitely like open up their eyes when something like this comes in their cities. This is another symbol of a collective memory. It's in Bandra, Bombay, stands like in the Reclamation Bridge, very visible. Actually, I forgot to put like an image from far. Who's that guy? Like this guy is like Dada Safalke. Now, Bombay is all about Bollywood, and this is a forgotten hero. He's the first Bollywood producer. People start questioning, so why this person is here? And actually, this is like when the dialogue takes place on Instagram, on social media, but also on the streets. Most recently, that was one of the work that we've done in Churchgate Station. Now, the railways are like the lifeline of India. The railways are like literally the symbol of democracy. And Gandhi chose actually the train stations as like his own favorite stage. And this is like the moment in which he gets down on a third-class train. We have space for democracy, we have space for dialogue, and these images are like just meant to remember to all of us that this is what we can have, and this is what we should have. coming from like, these very symbolic images and that again activate collective memories, what we start like thinking is like, why don't we do more? Why we can't activate in a temporary manner public spaces which are definitely not meant to host art for people that definitely are not going to museums. So the overall point was to activate a crossover of people and spaces, reconnecting the cityscape with the citizens. This is one of the busiest spot in Delhi, which very few people know. It's called ICD, Inland Container Depot. Around 3,000 trucks enter every day over there. It stands in Tughlaqabad. And what happened over there is that all our goods are coming from there. And right on the opposite side, there is a big landfill, so the end of those goods. Now, this place was just like a nightmare. It was just like trucks and no spaces at all. Also for truckers to leave their minutes of actually waiting for like loading and unloading the containers. The first operation was actually like clean this parking lot from the trucks. What happened is that the truckers started playing cricket because it was the first time that they didn't have like the bed of their trucks as only space to actually play cards or like just chat. What happened next is basically they started to see all these containers, which they are very familiar with, much more than we were, moving around and standing in very strange formation. Everything was like a work in progress. This was also the title of the exhibition. Work in progress is what actually connects us to our cities, because our cities are a constant work in progress. So why art has to be in the boundaries of the four walls? Why can't step outside and inform everyone with a superimposition of meanings? A container stays a container, that's not the matter, and actually that's the reason why it connects even more with the community that we are working with, because they are the first one who were helping us out actually to stack the containers in this very particular manner. And the exhibition actually was a work in progress in itself, because half of it was done by the opening, the other half was happening under everyone's eyes. A sort of like, small trick was to give to everyone and anyone that was entering in the exhibition the work in progress jacket. No matter who you are, you can be a trucker, you can be a very important like businessman or a fashion designer, whoever. You were meant to be part of the same experience. Everyone was part of the same experience. And eventually what happened is that in Tughlaqabad, in a very, in a place in which, it's very difficult also to arrive, we had a queue, which was, very surprising. Eventually people were coming because public spaces are not malls. Public spaces are those spaces. And public spaces are places that are informing you with culture, because culture is important. What happened right after is that we thought, okay, let's move on. Let's go even deeper in the understanding of a city and the DNA of a city. This is in Bombay, and it's Sassoon-Dock. The first time that I've been to Sassoon-Dock, like a crow like dropped like a fish head on my head, and a rat was like just dying in front of me. So really a not welcoming place. Still, the landfill also like was nothing compared to the smell of the fish, by the way. But still, that place was the heart of Bombay. Like Sassoon-Dock is the oldest dock of town. And this is the visual. Bombay, like a city which, is rising up with skyscrapers, and like thousands of people are coming every day. And this is still like a visual that stands in Colaba, which is the heart of town. And you can see like how busy it is. This is like the biggest whole fish market of the city, but actually founded by David Sassoon, like more than 100 years ago, and still standing, like no matter all the skyscrapers which are coming up and pushing the communities which are actually the traditional settlers of Bombay, the Koli, out of their own spaces. A transformation of the city which is absolutely normal, but at the same time can't get lost. What we did was like kind of like start working with the communities. And why? Because they are the richer keeper of the traditions. And so these women eventually got framed by the artist in a sort of like celebration of those identities. What happened right after is that we kind of like started working with the materials, which are local materials, not just local narratives. Because again, a container can be a canvas, but a fishnet can become a canvas too. So all the installations in the exhibition have been made by the people, for the people. Eventually, we had like more than 100 people from the fisher folk community was working with us in the most different capacities, actually. Some of them also just informing on how to use a fishnet because we were absolutely not aware about how to use it. What happened right after is that, again, like we had like more than 25 artists coming over and having like installations that were speaking to the dock, for the dock. This installation was made with 400 kilos of plastic, which got cleaned and weaved by the women of the community, and eventually was like also a reminder that we are all fish underwater, which gets polluted. So eventually all the installations were actually speaking about our condition and the condition of our cities, and the condition in particular of Softon Dock. The very last image is this, it was the entrance of the docks, and what we've done is that basically with this project called Inside Out, actually the creator of Inside Out is a French artist called JR, very famous. We basically gathered together more than 300 people from the community, different tribes, which are like not absolutely speaking with each other because obviously there is like a caste system which is very, very strong. Along with that, men and women together, again, a very strange thing for them. They came, we photographed them, we gathered all their stories, and then eventually we pasted them up like on all the warehouses, which were the entrance of the exhibition. Why? Because again, what we do is like art for the people and made by the people. And what happened was kind of interesting because at the beginning when we started pasting up like all those portraits, like women came to us and said like, we are very scared because my husband, if he sees me like close to a man, he will beat me. I mean, why I'm close to a man. That was also the generator of other dialogues. We brought a lot of people together, wives, husbands, Banjara tribe, Koli tribe, all together to speak about their identities, to understand that their identities can be reformed and reshaped. Now, can art change the world? I wish so, I don't know, very difficult to say, but what it can change is definitely can change perception, can inform about where are we going, can actually open imagination. Imagination is the power that we have. We have to look beyond, we have to cross over, and we have to break the walls. Thank you.